I work as a janitor in a 6-story medical building in downtown Detroit. I've worked there for 10 years. I know every corner of that building. Basement, lobby, and floors 1 through 6. That's it. The elevator panel only has buttons up to 6. Last Wednesday, I was doing my rounds around 2 a.m. I got into the service elevator to go down to the lobby. I was tired, leaning against the wall, scrolling on my phone. I didn't press a button immediately. Suddenly, the elevator lurched upward. I watched the digital display numbers tick up. 4, 5, 6. Then, it didn't stop. It clicked one more time. The display showed a symbol I'd never seen. It looked like a distorted 7. The doors slid open. I expected to see the roof, or maybe the machine room. Instead, I saw a hallway. A long, sterile hospital hallway that looked exactly like the 3rd floor, but wrong. The lights were humming with a sound that was too loud, almost like a scream. The floor tiles were soft, like rubber, and there were no doors, just smooth, blank walls on both sides. I stepped out, confused. "Hello?" I called out. The air smelled like ozone and burnt hair. At the end of the hallway, a phone on a small desk started ringing. It was an old rotary phone. I walked toward it, compelled by curiosity. I picked up the receiver. "Hello?" A voice answered. It was my voice. "Don't get on the elevator," my own voice whispered from the other end. "It crashes at 2:05 a.m. I dropped the phone. I looked at my watch. It was 2:04 a.m. I turned and sprinted back to the elevator. The doors were starting to close. I jammed my mop handle in between them to pry them open and threw myself inside. I smashed the button for the lobby. The elevator dropped like a stone. I felt weightless. It slammed to a halt on the lobby floor. The doors opened. I ran out and didn't look back. The next day, the building management told me the service elevator had been out of order all night for maintenance. But when I checked the elevator log, there was a record of a trip at 2:04 a.m. Destination: error. My boyfriend Chris is a pilot. He travels a lot, so we FaceTime every night before bed. Last week, he was in a hotel in London, and I was home in New York. We were talking about his day. The connection was crystal clear, HD quality, no pixelation. "I miss you," he said, smiling at the camera. He reached for a glass of water on his nightstand. On my screen, his hand moved, grabbed the glass, and took a sip. But his face didn't move. His mouth didn't open. His eyes didn't blink. While his hand was drinking water, his face remained frozen in that smiling pose. It wasn't a frozen screen because the background was moving. The TV behind him was playing news, and his hand was putting the glass down. Only his face was a still image. "Chris?" I asked. "Are you okay?" The mouth on the screen didn't move, but his voice came through clearly. "Yeah, why? What's wrong?" Then the mask slipped. For a split second, the smiling face flickered, and underneath it, I saw his real face. He wasn't smiling. He was screaming. His eyes were wide with terror, and he was looking at something behind him in the hotel room. Then the smile flickered back on instantly. "I'm just tired, babe," the voice said. It sounded slightly metallic now. "I'm going to sleep." He hung up. I tried to call back, but it went straight to voicemail. I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, Chris called me. He sounded shaken. "I woke up with the worst headache," he said. "And weirdest thing, all the mirrors in my hotel room were shattered when I woke up. I don't remember doing it." I never told him what I saw, but I know that for a few seconds the simulation of my boyfriend failed, and I saw something that wasn't supposed to be seen. I was on a road trip with my buddy Mark, driving through rural Nevada. We were relying on an old GPS unit because our phones had lost signal hours ago. We were hungry, so when the GPS announced, "Turn right for services," we took the exit. We drove down a dusty road for about 5 miles until we hit a small town. It looked perfect. Too perfect. The lawns were neon green. The white picket fences were blindingly white. Every car parked on the street was a red 1950s convertible. We pulled into a diner called Sally's. We walked in. The place was packed. Everyone was eating, but it was silent. No talking, no clinking of silverware. We sat at a booth. A waitress walked over. She was smiling so hard her gums showed. "What can I get you?" she asked. "Just 2 burgers, Mark said. "2 burgers," she repeated. She didn't write it down. She didn't walk to the kitchen. She just stood there, staring at us, smiling. I looked around the room. An old man in the corner was cutting a steak. I watched him. He cut a piece, lifted the fork to his mouth, opened his mouth, and put it in. Then he did it again. Exact same motion, exact same speed. He wasn't eating the steak. The steak remained whole. He was just looping the animation of eating. I kicked Mark under the table. "Look at the guy in the corner," I whispered. Mark looked. His face went pale. Then we looked at the couple next to us. They were holding hands. They swung their hands back and forth, left, right, like a pendulum. "We need to leave," I said, standing up. The waitress was still standing there. "2 burgers," she said again. "We're leaving," I said, backing away. "2 burgers," she repeated, her voice getting louder. Suddenly, everyone in the diner stopped moving. They all turned their heads toward us simultaneously. "2 burgers, 2 burgers, 2 burgers," they chanted in unison. We ran out the door and jumped into the car. Mark floored it. We sped out of that town doing 90 miles per hour. As we looked in the rearview mirror, the town didn't fade into the distance. It just vanished. 1 second it was there, the next just desert scrub. When we finally got signal and checked Google Maps, there was no road where we had turned. No town, no Sally's diner. Just miles of empty military testing ground.